Hey everybody, Jeff Urbin, the Compost King, back for round two. Earlier today, if you were watching, you saw how we create structures in which to put the compost material. Those structures should be about 3 feet by 3 feet at least, lots of aeration, lots of places for air to get in. And you want a structure simply because you don't want the stuff blowing around all over your yard. In this section, we're going to learn about the actual stuff that goes into the compost pile, the stuff that will eventually turn into what we like to call black gold. Okay. Basically, composting consists of two main ingredients: greens and browns. Now, the scientific community will tell you, oh, you have to have a certain percentage of this and a certain amount of that. But I say, yeah, you probably do, but who cares, right? Because the bottom line is, nature composts all the time. If you're out in the woods, next time you're out in the woods, just listen. Listen. What do you hear? Is it the sound of a bunny? Is it the sound of a bear? No, it's the sound of composting. Nature has been composting the leaves and the things that fall to the ground for thousands of years to make nice nutrient-rich soil for its own self. Now, you're going to get in on the act as well. So, basically two ingredients: nitrogens and carbons, okay? Greens and browns. Let's take a look at what some of those are. So the ingredients that go into the compost, you can think of it as kind of a before. And the two elements, greens, these are generally things you're going to find in your kitchen scraps. So what we have here is a nice banana peel, and I always get very kind of, reminiscent about banana peels because I started my compost pile with a single banana peel, so it gives me a warm feeling. So you have banana peel, we got coffee grinds, and a coffee filter. This is a coffee filter that is natural. It doesn't have the bleach in there, so it's just a natural coffee filter. That can go in there as well. A couple of apple cores, now that it's apple season. This is tea from the tea bags, and we use the, actually not the tea bags, we use the actual raw tea, so you don't end up with tea bags. And then we have some avocado shells, the lime from the gin and tonic the other night, very good, and some eggshells as well. So when you're cutting carrots for dinner and you got the ends, the beginning and the end of it, just that can go in here too. The green parts of the carrots, potato peels, any of that kitchen stuff that ordinarily would go into the garbage and into the landfill can go in as a green. Then you want to counterbalance the greens with the browns, and you can think of the browns as anything coming from the yard. Okay, so what we have here is some grass clippings. We've got some leaves, and we're going to have thousands and thousands of these coming up in the next couple of weeks. We've got a couple of pieces of bark from a tree, and these are some flowers that we had in the house just to decorate things up a bit. These are considered brown because they're closer to being dead than this stuff is. This stuff is still kind of juicy, the greens. This stuff is the browns. So here you're going to get your carbon. Over there you're going to get your greens. Then you mix these guys together, and how do you know you're getting the appropriate amount and the appropriate mix? You just eyeball it, and you just sort of go by what it looks like, and also by what it smells like. If you get a sense of a smell that is like kind of unpleasant, it means that it's too wet and you need to put some more browns in there. But basically what this is going to do is it's going to take care of itself. It's going to police itself. It's not going to get smelly. It's not going to get messy. You're not going to attract rats, as some people tend to think. You might attract a bird or two who's going to come in and peck on those apple cores and such, but what you're going to create is a community of microbes, and that's who we have over here. So that's the before. This is the actual during. So this is what it looks like when it's in your pile, and you'll notice it's pretty dry, right? It's not wet, but it's not dry, and this is pretty much the perfect balance. Now also in here we've got the cardboard egg containers. We've got some corn stalks here and corn cobs, and this is a little chunk of a recyclable takeout dinner container. So look for places that have that and not the styrofoam, and you can compost that stuff as well. All you do is you take this, you throw it into one of those containers like we talked about earlier out in your yard, and you just let it go. what you'll do as it gets working here, you will take a pitchfork, such as this. Now usually you see pitchforks like this used in Frankenstein movies where the villagers are, you know, going after him with the torches and the pitchforks and stuff. But they also come in really handy when you turn your compost. And the more you turn your compost, the more it is going to decompose. Notice I'm saying the word decompose, not rot. Your compost pile will not rot. You will not have that rotten smell if you do it correctly. What you're doing is you're decomposing, you're not rotting. So you put this stuff in your pile, your greens and your browns, and then you just sort of mix it up, and this will aerate it, and it will give lots of little places for your microbes to live, and it will also mix all nicely here as well. If it starts to get a little bit like, something doesn't smell quite right here, it simply means it's too wet. Turn it more or add more browns in there as well. So it's all about aeration at that point, and I personally find it so much fun to come home after a hard day at work, grab my pitchfork, and go out there and turn that compost, right? You know, if there's a day where my boss and I haven't quite gotten along, you know, you grab a pitchfork and you go after the compost, and you just turn that compost lovely and nice. Now, you might say, okay, so that's great. What do I do in the wintertime, right? When this stuff is like frozen. You don't have to worry about that, because as your pile gets bigger, the outside of the pile will freeze in the wintertime, but the inside will remain warm. Why? Because these little microbe guys are running around with their little forks and knives, chewing on all this stuff, and they will actually generate their own heat. The inside temperature of a compost pile can reach up to 160 degrees. And in fact, there are some places where they have huge compost piles and they run copper wire through, and they're actually able to heat water that way as well. So your microbes will keep themselves comfy and nice in the wintertime, and you'll go out there, you'll throw this stuff on, you come back 2 hours later, it's frozen, and you think, oh, nothing's going on. It's going on, but it's going on below the surface. And in the springtime, when that upper crust begins to thaw out, and you go out there for the first turning of the season, you're going to see that these guys have been hard at work all winter long. That's the great thing about microbes. They are perfect employees. They never call in sick. They work 24 hours a day. You don't have to pay them, and they'll eat whatever you put in front of them. And what do they give you in return? I'm glad you asked. They give you this, the after, black gold. Look at that, ladies and gentlemen, huh? This started off as those banana peels, those apples, all that stuff, and look at that. It's beautiful, beautiful black gold. Now, you can't smell this because science has not yet invented smell-o-vision, but when they do, and I do my next compost thing, you're going to be able to smell this, and this smells like thick, beautiful, rich earth. Okay, it doesn't have a chemical smell, it doesn't have a rotten smell or a stinky smell. It has a beautiful, like, you know, almost after the rain, you know, when you smell the earth, that's the kind of smell that this has to it. And this is the perfect fertilizer or soil augmentation for the soil that you may have, right? We are celebrating Hardscrabble Day because some of the soil around here is kind of, you know, clayish. Well, you can put this stuff in along with your soil, put it in with a little bit of topsoil as well, mix it all up, and you've got a nice, rich, nutrient soil that is also nice and fluffy for the roots of your little plants to go through and to work in. Now, sometimes people say, okay, so you put greens and browns, but I've heard you can put animal manure in there as well. And that's true. You can use chicken manure, which is high in nitrogen, or you can also use cow manure, but you have to be careful with that. If you put those into your pile, you want to wait 1 full year, 1 full 4-season cycle before you use that, that compost if you're going to use it for vegetables, because the pathogens in there need a year to work their way through, and the microbes will find them, they'll hunt them down, and they'll take care of them. So you can do that without any worry. When I'm done with this presentation, I'm going to wrap this all back up, toss it right into my compost pile, and I'm even going to throw in the newspaper. And you say, well, newspaper, can you do that too? Yes, absolutely. This will help to maintain moisture in the compost as well. And you don't have to worry about the ink, because most inks these days are made actually out of a soy-based ink as opposed to chemical-based ink. Now, you don't want to put fancy, you know, magazine type, you know, shiny stuff in there, but a newspaper shredded up is the perfect thing as well. If you just put this stuff out there and you let it sit, it'll compost. If you turn it once, twice a week, right, then it'll compost even more quickly. I want to warn you though, don't think you can throw a banana peel out there, come out the next day, and have the black gold, right? It's going to take you a while to do that. So if you're looking for some of this in the springtime for your springtime garden, start your compost pile now. Put all the stuff in there over the winter time, and in the springtime when you turn it, you'll be able to get some of this. Now, how do you get this to be so beautiful and so soft and so small and ready to use that way? Well, let's go over here and I'll show you. We'll go back to our little shelf wiring system. So this was the shelf that we found along the side of the road, and also in the same hole we found this little plastic, looks like a Coke bottle or something, sort of a holder. And what I do with my compost to get it to look so sweet and nice like that is I put it in here, and then all you do is you shake it like this. And this is good for your upper body strength. Okay, moment on the lips, lifetime on the hips. Not if you're a composter. Why, if I didn't compost, I'd probably weigh 400 pounds right now. So you just do this like that, and now here's what happens. You get leftover stuff like this. So what do you do with this? Well, we've got a fruit container, we've got the egg container, we've got the flowers, the banana peels. This goes right back into the compost pile, and it will begin to work its way through and be composted once again. But look what we have down here. We have the beginning of that black gold I was talking about. Now I like to keep mine down to this level. You don't have to. You can have it be rougher and have other bits and pieces of stuff in there, but I like to get mine all nice and down like that. And again, that has a beautiful earthy smell to it. So you say, okay, so I got to walk out to the compost pile every time I get a banana peel or an apple peel or an eggshell. Well, if you want to get your 10,000 steps a day, you could. But if you don't want to get 10,000 steps a day, you can also use a little container such as this. This is what we have in our kitchen. It is a commercially available compost container, and you just open this up, you put your stuff on the inside there, and it gets a little messy on the inside. Then you put this on like that, and you just carry it out to the compost, dump it in, take it back, and you're ready to go again. My family of 4 fills this probably twice a week. So imagine this, you've got this much kitchen waste twice a week, and if you multiply that by 52 times over the course of the year, think about the pile of stuff you're sending to the landfill. And when it goes to the landfill, it's going to go in, it won't have the appropriate conditions, and it will rot there, and it will make methane gas. But by putting it out in your backyard, you will eliminate the rot, you will increase decomposition, and that will make the beautiful compost soil that you have. Now this is a commercially available one, and I use this because it was given to me as a gift, but you don't have to use something like this. You could, anything that has a lid on it is what you need. Because you're taking this out every couple of days, you don't have to, again, worry about smells, you don't have to worry about bugs or any of that stuff. Just put it on there, and every couple of days go out, pour it out, every now and then rinse it out, and then bring it back in, and you're also ready to go. You could use anything that doesn't have holes in it, and that has a nice tight lid on the top, so you can keep everything all in there. That's all there is to it. You've got this little community of folks, these little microbes, and little ants and worms and stuff will crawl through there too. It becomes a nice community, a community like Red Hook, where everybody gets along. Everybody works for the common good. That's the beautiful part of a compost pile. And if you've got high blood pressure, get some composting going, get out there, turn that stuff, you see the harmony going on in your pile, and your blood pressure will go right down, no questions asked. Now, I'm not a doctor, so this is not medical advice. This is just some good composting opinion. So that's all it takes. Just get out there, get started. Start now. You'll have some compost in the springtime, and if you need any other advice on that, I'm available to consult with. And it's simple: greens, browns, mix, weight, black gold.